What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Attractions Guide podcast. Today we're going to be discussing a few topics regarding UK water parks, the future development of Alton Towers, and some new announcements that the park has released over the past coming weeks. Now, like I said in my last podcast, that this one is going to be a video podcast, so today, hopefully, this new camera doesn't corrupt like the last one did when I tried to export the video into Final Cut. So let's get on with the podcast. Today I'm going to be discussing about, is the UK lacking great water parks? Now, we have numerous amounts of water parks that I'd just like to list off before we get on with it. So the first being Sandcastle Water Park, which is situated at Blackpool. We've got Alton Towers Water Park, which is situated at Alton Towers Theme Park in Staffordshire. We've got Waterworld, which is another Staffordshire water park in Stoke-on-Trent. And Wet n Wild, which is in Newcastle upon Tyne. Now, these are just a few, not to mention all the others, but I have only visited 3 of these in my lifetime, and that being Sandcastle Water Park, Alton Towers Water Park, and Waterworld in Stoke-on-Trent. Now, I haven't visited Waterworld in Stoke-on-Trent for years, but I think, to get on with this topic, I think investment is needed at Alton Towers Water Park. I feel like the attractions there now are a little bit dated, and I think one visit for that place is more than enough, as it hasn't properly had some investment in terms of attractions for quite some time. I think maybe the last water ride that got put in there was Master Blaster, which we do hold 2 of them in the UK at the moment, with the other one being at Sandcastle Water Park in Blackpool. Now, I feel like Alton Towers Water Park needs plenty of refurbishment, as well as some obviously updated attractions. Maybe a couple more slides. But Alton Towers are quite limited with the space that they've got for the water park there, because of it is inside a little building which doesn't look like it's big. I will try and put a picture from Google Maps on there now to show you the size of the building that the water park's housed in. But I feel like, well, saying that, Alton Towers has had some numerous amounts of refurbishment in terms of the water park. They close quite often throughout close season, so they can maintain that water park and make it look a bit better in terms of paint and stuff like that. But I think investment is definitely needed in terms of the attractions that it currently has. Also, Sandcastle Water Park is easily my favourite in the UK. I feel like that, for me, is great. They're constantly looking at new ways of adding slides to their portfolio. And I think that's maybe something that they need to do at Alton Towers, and have that same mentality. I know, obviously, Alton Towers is mainly a theme park, but I feel like they could possibly get something in terms of that. You know, have a development plan set in stone, so we can constantly look at bringing new attractions to that resort. And I think it will bring more people to the resort as well. I think for an entry ticket to Alton Towers Water Park is something like £13. I might be wrong. And I think it's similar at Sandcastle now. £13 at Sandcastle goes a lot, well, it's a lot more for your money, really, because of the attractions that park currently has in Blackpool. Now, I can't really comment on the other 2, because obviously I've only visited Waterworld once, and that was quite some time ago, so I can't really comment about them. And obviously Wet n Wild in Newcastle, so I can't really talk about that. But I think maybe the UK needs something like Europa Park, what they're doing with Rulantica, which is set to open at some point this year. Rulantica will welcome an addition of 25 new attractions. 17 of them are going to be brand new slides, which are from Canadian manufacturer Pro Slide and German manufacturer Aquarena. So we're certainly excited to see what Rulantica is about at some point in the coming years. Obviously, it's not somewhere that's just around the corner for us, so we can't just go there for a day or anything. We have to do it over a set amount of days. So maybe that's something that we look at doing in the future. And obviously, we'll bring it all to the channel. So that's what I think is needed to be done in the UK for this first segment. I think the UK definitely lacks water parks. Now, in the UK, we get awful weather. I mean, it's very rare we get fantastic weather all year round, but we've never had that, actually. We have a really bad winter. Sometimes the summer's hit and miss, so obviously outdoor water parks, there's no need for them, as we don't get enough sun for the outdoor section. So maybe we need an indoor water park like Rulantica, where it's in the middle of the country, so it's not too far to get to for everyone, because I live in the north of England, so it'll be quite difficult for us to get to if it's down south. Obviously, it's not something we just want to go and visit then come back, because it takes us like 4 or 5 hours to drive down there. So maybe it's something that we need in the middle, maybe Birmingham way possibly, so we can go there and experience that. I think that's what the UK is lacking on at the moment, is great indoor water parks. I mean, the ones that we currently have aren't exactly bad, but I feel like we could get a lot better in terms of them. But that's how much I'm going to talk about that, because I feel like I could talk about this topic for quite some time, and I don't want to bore you guys to death. So, the next topic I'm going to talk about, if you constantly see me look down, it's because I have made some notes, just so I can keep the flow going of this podcast. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is the recent news that we've had from Alton Towers. So, for a start, we've had the new video advertisement for the Alton Towers Dungeons, which is set to open on the 23rd of March 2019. We already have our tickets booked, and we can't wait to experience this attraction. And this is what Alton Towers released last week in terms of the new advertisement video.
Alton Towers. The Gothic seat of the Earls of Shrewsbury has a secret. Beneath the towers flows the Black River, taking sinners to meet their fate. There is room for you too, traitor. Your fate awaits.
So while that certainly got us very, very excited to experience this attraction, it also confirms the dungeons will take full advantage of the boat system that is currently housed inside of that building, which was once used by Toyland Tours and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We're really excited. I think it's a great opportunity for Towers to bring and enhance that dungeon brand. And I think, for me personally, I can't wait to experience it. The tickets are still available to book on the Alton Towers website, so if you head over there, you can book your tickets. We booked ours in advance because we didn't want to miss out. Obviously, everybody's going to be wanting to experience the new attraction on opening weekend, so we went ahead and booked our tickets. Now, before I start talking more into this, because it's a bit of a rant that I'm going to go ahead on, I'm just going to get a drink, because I am a bit dry, so just bear with me. Yes, I am drinking Rockstar. It's a Sunday and I am absolutely knackered. So, right. Premium Alton Towers Season Pass holders gain 1 free entry to this attraction per visit. Merlin Premium Annual Pass holders still have to pay. Not on at all. Not on in the slightest. Every other Merlin attraction, as in the dungeons, you can gain access with your Merlin annual pass. With Alton Towers dungeons, you can't. I don't understand the logic around this, and I don't understand who's decided this, but I think it's not great. It honestly isn't great. So basically, Merlin annual pass holders are going to have to pay an upcharged fee for an attraction. Now, what's stopping these people going, well, hang on a minute. The only difference is the name Alton Towers Dungeon. I could go to Blackpool and experience that for free. Obviously, this is a bit of a tricky subject because obviously we sent an email out to Merlin to get some clarification on this. After 3 weeks, they responded to there's no future plan of giving this perk to the Merlin pass holders. Now, I think it's not on because you pay £190 for a premium pass, and you still don't get entry to that attraction. I mean, is £190 not good enough to these guys? I mean, I think they definitely need to start changing stuff like this, because I think it's bonkers the fact that they won't let premium Merlin annual pass holders in for the perk of the pass. But I think it's a joke, really. I mean, I paid it. I don't mind paying it as a one-off, but I won't be doing it every time I visit. So if they think by making the prices up, for the attraction to be £5, do they think that Merlin annual pass holders are going to go in that attraction every time they visit? Not a chance. It'll be a one-time thing. I may experience it later on in the season, but I'll only be experiencing it once. I think this for me was a tricky subject because obviously this is the first time Alton Towers have introduced the Alton Towers Premium Annual Pass for numerous amounts of years now. We did see the Season Pass make its debut last year, which was a bargain price of the entry ticket. So if you bought an entry ticket, you could actually go back any time of the year for free with the pass. That's great. That is absolutely fantastic. Bargain for the buck. That was great. But not giving entry to premium Merlin annual pass holders who pay nearly £200 for that pass, not to get entry included. Now, we've not been given any clarification upon why they're not willing to offer it to premium annual pass holders. Maybe there's going to be something in the dungeons that they think's it's an upcharged attraction. Maybe they thought, well, it's got a boat ride, so we can charge them extra for it. Not at all. Not at all. And I'm all about making money, and I'm all about attractions doing well and pulling back a profit, but not great, is it? Let's be honest. It's not the best. I think that's a bit of a wrong move in my opinion. But who am I? Who am I to say anything different? I don't know anything about business, so that's that. So I'm not going any further in that. The dungeons look really good. We're going to bring as much content as we can to the channel over on opening weekend, and we can't wait to experience it. So that'll be happening on opening day at some point. I think we booked for midday. So obviously with attractions like this, with it being the first proper opening day, it's like a scare attraction. If you go to Scarefest opening weekend and experience the maze as soon as it opens, it isn't going to be the best of experiences compared to later in the day. The actors need time to adjust to the positions and stuff like that, and I'm all for that. So that's why we're going late in the afternoon or maybe midday to experience this, so we get the best experience as possible. So apart from the dungeon advertisement video, Alton Towers have also released that they will welcome 2 more attractions which will be joining CBeebies Land in 2009. So we've got Peter Rabbit's Hippity Hoppity ride, which will feature 2 new drop towers, just like Frog Hopper, but 2 of them and themed around Peter Rabbit. And then in April, we will be seeing the Teletubbies join the Big Fun Showtime arena for 2 shows daily, and that will be great for the kids. I think Alton Towers did say that once they've released, once they've opened Wicker Man, they will look more towards the younger generation and the family market. So I think introducing these new 2 attractions into CBeebies Land will be great, and we'll obviously try and get as much coverage of them as possible, but obviously we very rarely go into CBeebies Land, so maybe that might be something that I need to do, just to get some footage for you guys. It is a bit weird filming in a children's area, but hey ho, we can only give it a go. The next segment, I'm going to talk about the future of Alton Towers. Alton Towers in this podcast may be a bit of a reoccurring thing, as I like Alton Towers. It's one of my UK's favourite theme parks, and I like talking about it as much as possible, especially after reading this book, Tales of the Towers by Nick Sim. So this book talks about, it's an in-depth look behind behind Alton Towers, basically. So this is a fantastic book if you're into Alton Towers and you're in love for the theme park. Unfortunately, the author of this book sadly passed away. I can't remember when he passed away, but I bought this book after people had recommended it, and I'm halfway through it, and it is a great book. Fantastic book. I think it cost £11. Sorry about the buzz in the background. That is my watch going off. I have a time on my watch when to take my tablet, so that's just going off.
2 hours later. Approximately 10 hours. Many months.
There we go. So yeah, it's a fantastic book. I think it was £11 off Amazon, and I'm halfway through it. I read it to and from on the way to work, and it's great. It's it talks about how John Wardley created the secret weapons, Nemesis, Oblivion, and Air, crazy marketing initiatives, rides that never were, vertical launch coasters, tropical aquariums, and more. And it's a great book, and I recommend it to everybody. So if you want to purchase this book, I'll drop the Amazon link in the description below. So yeah, the future of Alton Towers. This book actually kind of inspired me to make a segment in the podcast to this. So I thought, I'll include a little clip of the book in there, because it's a great book, and anybody who's a fan of Alton Towers would love to read that. It's great. So the future of Alton Towers. So first of all, I'm going to be talking about Spinball Whizzer. I think the possible removal of Spinball Whizzer would be great for the park. I think that ride for me is a little bit dated. It always seems to pick up a big queue, and the throughput isn't really great. I'm just going to actually do a little bit of research now to find out the throughput of Spinball Whizzer. Just so I don't, produce some facts that are wrong. So I'm on trusty Wikipedia, and it gets 950 riders per hour, which isn't bad, but the queue's always big. I mean, the queue is always big for that ride. So I think, personally, the removal of Spinball Whizzer may be great. I only actually ride that coaster when it's raining, because they only permit 3 people in in, and then they had one single rider. So I think that's perfect. But I think the single rider queue's gone now, so I wouldn't queue any longer than 10 minutes for that ride. And I didn't think the whole season last year I did not ride it at all. So that's quite shocking, really. But it's not really a coaster that I go on. So it opened back up in 2004, and I think this ride is possibly the first ride to be removed to make way for the next coaster. Maybe, don't get me wrong, it's probably still a great coaster to some, but for me, they could utilise this space and bring something better in its place. Now, I'll possibly get shot down for saying this, but I think a max spinning coaster would be great. Now, max spinning coasters pack quite a few features that now I might say this wrong, the Mora Son spinning coaster doesn't. So with this max spinning coaster, just a few elements to mention: the magnetic spin, which obviously it spins from magnets on brake runs and stuff like that, and the unpredictable spinning elements, meaning every ride is different. Now, I got that from the new Park World magazine from this month. Matt was doing an advertisement in there, and I had a little look, and that's when my mind started rolling, where I thought they could remove this and bring a Mack coaster in there. And I think that would be great. I think Spinball now, when you're walking down Tower Street, I think hearing that noise it makes, the hissing noise, I think it's just ugly. I think it just doesn't look right from where it's situated. And I think Towers could utilise this space really well and bring in something much better. Now, also the next one for the future would be removing Rita. It would open up the opportunity to bring a better launch coaster, whether that's possible in Mack Mega Coaster. They have launches, so that could be kind of branded as a launch coaster, or an Intamin. Bringing in something better like Taron at Phantasialand. And with what I'm getting from the sense of with the Wicker Man is that Towers now are going to go down the themed side of things, and I think Merlin have proved that they can do theming, especially with Wicker Man. Merlin have proved that they can do theming, and I think they could bring a Taron to the UK, or a similar style theme to Taron, and I think it'll fit Dark Forest much better than what it would with Rita in its place right now. So I think that is great, and I think bringing a Taron to the UK would be absolutely phenomenal, and that would certainly get a lot of people excited. It certainly would get me excited, I know that for sure. But I think that's something maybe they need to look into. Who knows? Maybe we might see Rita last a little bit longer at Towers, but that's another ride that I don't really go on. I think last season I only went on it once. I maybe didn't even go on it at all. This is how much I don't remember. But I think we can only look at the future and think, does Alton Towers have a bright future? I think it does. I personally think Alton Towers has a bright future, and I'll look forward to see that future, the future plans of Alton Towers and the developments. I think there's rooms for improvement, definitely rooms for improvement, and possibly Spinball Wizard being the first to be removed, and then Rita. I think you're going to be replacing them two dated attractions to something absolutely fantastic, and I certainly can't wait to see what the future holds for Alton Towers. I don't know about you guys, but the future of Alton Towers excites me. Obviously, Alton Towers will have a plan set in stone, and I certainly can't wait to see what that plan is. Another thing I'm going to talk about in this one is Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Obviously, we are seeing the current removal of Bowladrome. Now, I think we could see a max spinning coaster there. it relates into what I was talking about with Spinball Wizard. If Towers don't get one, then I think Blackpool Pleasure Beach will, because I don't see Blackpool just having a one coaster deal with Mac. I see them having maybe 2 or 3, because I know Amanda Thompson, the CEO of Blackpool Pleasure Beach, managing director, she has a very good relationship with the Mac family, and I think Mac will be putting a lot of effort into getting as many of their coasters into that park as they can. And I think with the removal of Bowlerdrome, it opens up for new space, maybe a Mac Infinity coaster or something along them lines. I think that may be a good little thing to look out for, and I think the future of Blackpool's quite bright as well. I look forward to seeing that. It's a park that's only 35 minutes away from me, and I certainly can't wait to see the future of that park, because that's somewhere that I've been going to ever since I was a child. So that will be something to look out for, and we certainly can't wait. I think the UK theme parks has a really bright future, and I think we will see lots and lots of coasters come to the UK that we wasn't expecting, and I look forward to the developments of all the parks in the UK. You know, because we are a UK based YouTube channel, so obviously the UK parks are much easier for us to get to. So I think we're in for some exciting times in the UK in terms of coasters, and we certainly can't wait. And I'd like to hear your opinions on this and what you think Alton Towers should get and Blackpool. So start a little conversation in the comments box below, and we can get this moving, and hopefully we can all have a discussion about it. And I think if there's some comments in there worth talking about, I'll bring them up in the next episode. I know this is going to be a monthly episode, but I do constantly make notes throughout the month, so I can constantly keep adding to these notes and bringing them up in the next podcast. I know it might seem a little bit boring, you having to watch me keep drinking, but talking for this long, it's making me feel very dry, so obviously I need to keep hydrated. I know possibly Rockstar isn't the best, but hey ho. Also, I wanted to mention, we was watching, listening to Scare Track. Now, Scare Track is the scare industry's first, proper scare podcast, which brings you on-location audio from different scare attractions in the UK and Europe, and also brings you discussions about the scare industry itself. Now, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and I'll link this podcast in the description below, because it was something that I agree with, and I wanted to talk about it in our podcast. Now, Scarefest, or the scare season for us, is months and months and months away. We're only just hitting March, so now they discussed about alcohol at scare attractions or scare events. Now, I've witnessed this myself, of people going through scare attractions drunk, and I think being able to drink at a scare event is wrong, or possibly doing what Scare Kingdom do, which is you do the attractions first and then you can have a drink afterwards. And I think that's what most theme parks need to do, who have scare attractions in them. I mean, I know when we get the Travellers' Days at Alton Towers, we get them in Scarefest. So no alcohol is served across the resort, which obviously is a good thing, but it's also the normal people that go there, or every guest that goes there, can't drink alcohol because of the risk that it poses. And I think violence in scare attractions is just disgraceful, and the majority of it will be because of drink. It's a given, you know. I think to some people, drink turns them into, idiots. And I think, for me, if I have a drink and I get drunk, I just become a relaxed person, and I don't look out to starting arguments with people or violence. That's not the way I'm inclined. But for some people, they drink it on Dutch courage and then go for a scare attraction and give the actors a load of grief whilst being inside there. And some obviously have reported that there've been physical abuse in there. And I think it's disgraceful, and it's something that I wanted to mention in this podcast, because I'm a lover of scare attractions, and I think people who do this kind of things are ruining it for the industry. And I feel like we need to put a stop to drunk people going through scare attractions. So that's my take on that. Scare Trap possibly might not see this, but I will send them a link just so they can have a little listen to the ending of it, because it was something that I got quite interested in listening to on their podcast. So if you are watching Mikey from Scare Trap, great podcast, and we love what you do with the show. And I listen to it on the way to work every morning, even reoccurring podcasts. I just listen to them because I think they're great and they're easy to listen to, and it's a fantastic overall podcast. So if you do want to have a listen to Scare Trap yourself, I will leave the link in the description below, so you can listen to them guys if you're into the scare industry. So this is only going to be a half an hour long podcast, because I'm running out of things to talk about, as we are only 20 days away from the theme park season at Alton Towers. So we can't wait, and the next podcast you see will be after the opening weekend of Alton Towers. So thank you very much for watching or listening, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to turn the notification bells on to be notified when we upload, and use all our social media links in the description below as per usual. Thank you very much for watching and your continued support. If you would like to support us even further, our Patreon page is now open for you to sponsor us, which all gets put back into the channel. So the link for our Patreon page will be in the description below. And if you don't want to support us on Patreon, that's not a problem whatsoever. We love all the support you give us in terms of commenting, sharing and liking and subscribing our videos. So keep up with that. But the option's there if you'd like to support us on Patreon. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode.